If you're a content marketing manager, SEO on-page specialist, head of content, or even a solo creator trying to grow your business, then it's likely you already know how important it is to find your target audience and niche opportunities you can pursue profitably. Plus, if you've been following our How to Get AI to Write Like You or Your Business series, you'll also be aware that knowing your target audience is another step in the process of training your AI content generation tools to create content in your unique brand voice. Now consider this. How much time have you wasted thinking about who your target market is without ever feeling 100% sure? How many blog posts, email flows, or social campaigns have gone out the door with that nagging voice in your head wondering, is this even reaching the right people? Here's the real issue. Many people avoid finding and defining their target audience or niche because it feels too vague or too expensive or it takes too long or it's just way too overwhelming of a process. The good news is if you feel like that, you are far from alone. I've had people say to me, niche drama is so common. My students struggle with this constantly. Agencies, we've spent hundreds of man-hours trying to figure target audiences out. And even those who try to skip this step, they end up spending more in time, effort and budget later. Because without clear niche target audience clarity, their content sounds bland and generic, especially if you're using AI tools for content generation. Their content messaging between teams doesn't align, and ultimately their content doesn't convert because it's speaking to the wrong people. So campaigns get stuck in this rinse and repeat cycle of post, hope, repeat. Recognizing all these problems, I decided to do something about it, and I built the time-saving target audience and niche finder tool. I apologize, the name's a mouthful, but what it does is simple. It uses search intelligence as your target audience and niche opportunity finder. It turns the I don't know who I'm talking to feeling into a structured, detailed report you can actually use in your marketing and messaging. Here's how it works. You feed it real inputs, just as you would if you were in a meeting with a client or a business about your products or services, or even just an idea, brainstorming about new product releases. Who your ideal client might be, if you know it, any testimonials or feedback you've already received, any existing product or service URLs, any competitor URLs, such as their about page, their products and services, or their testimonials, even demographic data if it's to hand. For example, Google Search Console countries list, Google Analytics, demographics data, YouTube Analytics, anything that might reveal something about your audience. This is important because garbage in, garbage out. While the system doesn't include many compulsory input fields, in other words, you're not forced to fill in anything you haven't got to hand, the more input you provide, the more you can expect the tool to generate insightful and strategic output. For example, you'll get potential market opportunities. You'll get target audience profiles to match those opportunities, including suggested demographics, psychographic and behavioral characteristics, common pain points and/or audience aspirations. And if applicable and obvious, the system will generate recommendations on next actions. All in a single, readable report. No guesswork, no overthinking. How quickly could you move forward in terms of talking to the right people? Let me show you what this looks like. Okay, I said this tool was nice and simple, so just a couple of caveats at the time we're recording this in April 2025. The tool is currently free as a working prototype and it has all the AI token credits included. So anyone can use it and run it or regenerate it and it will produce the results as we are about to demonstrate. But when you come back, depending on when you're watching this page may not look exactly like this. So there's a bit of information about the problem and the solution. Here's some information that others have provided after using the tool. If you want to encourage us to make this tool better, feel free to show us some gratitude for the value it brings after you've run it, or drop me a line personally with any feedback you have. As I say, this tool is a prototype, but we are working on some different variations. And if you're keen to use this tool in your own agency, we have some white label options under development. So do get in touch if that would help. Okay, on with the show. One note, once your report is run, scroll to the top to print the PDF. When the report's run, you'll just need to go back up to the top and click on the PDF option. And one other thing, I'll just refresh this because I think there's a slightly dated version. When you are prompted to share a URL, be sure to enter them so the tool processes them. Here we have a whole bunch of input fields. If you can go through them one by one, and if you feel you can answer it or add information, it's all fairly self-explanatory, but it's all geared towards letting the agents behind this tool know where they should be going, what they should be looking for to find the more detailed information. If it's just an idea, then you're not going to have as much to put in. But if you already have a website, if you already have some service page URLs, be sure to put them in here. And once you put in a URL, make sure you press enter and that will process that URL. Maybe you know about some competition and you can put in more than one URL. So the more you put in, the more it will look. And then that way you're comparing what the competitors are doing. Remember, you might have an idea to compete against some competitors, but you want to know what the marketplace is thinking of those competitors, because that might reveal the gaps and the opportunities you should pursue. So if you have those, put them in, and that will improve the results that come back. Then if you have demographic data based on your own Google Analytics or your Google Search Console or your social media analytics, update that. This will tell the tool more about your hopeful audience. And then there's some options. Maybe you've had some customer interviews, you've got some feedback. Maybe you've done some brainstorming in a meeting with your staff. Maybe you have some sales meeting note transcripts. You can put all those in. Maybe you have some images of the idea you're working on. Finally, there's a text field down here to put in any information that doesn't fall into the other categories. Apart from just putting in your own name at the beginning or your business name, that's the only compulsory field. All the rest are optional, but the more you put in, the more you're going to get back. And you compare that to the amount of hours that you would spend in meetings, going back and forth with agencies or colleagues or associates. This is just a case of getting prepared and have your input ready. Now let me show you what you can expect in terms of output, acknowledging that it will be different for everyone because it will depend on what's put in. But in general, what you can expect is something along these lines. Once the tool has done all of its work, you'll get a PDF. As I say, remember to scroll to the top and then you'll see a PDF button and you can download to your computer. Here it will summarize everything you put in. This is one we did for ourselves. We put in a bunch of URLs, but then the input analyzer goes to work, processes everything, identifies some strengths, some market context, some audience indicators, all things it can use for the next stage. We then have an opportunity spotter, and in this case, it found 3 opportunities. It gives them the title, describes the market segment, the justification for selection, why there's an audience, using statistics, how it aligns with your business strengths, estimating market size and growth potential, and does the same for all the different opportunities it finds. Our experience is it will find 3 or 4, depending on what you put in. Then it goes a bit deeper and tries to define the audience in more detail. It's still sticking with the opportunities. Each one's been given a name, so that's flowing through. But then you can expect to see some demographic characteristics, some psychographic characteristics, and some behavioral characteristics, all pretty important. Followed by a refinement of the niche. Now it gets down to some bullet points on their key pain points and their aspirations of what they're trying to achieve for each niche. Finally, we have an executive summary and then just a little bit more information and, if applicable, some actionable recommendations. In our case, we looked at all 3 opportunities and we felt that the second one was the one that aligned with what we were trying to do the most. So it's not about taking all the opportunities. Maybe you'll see a crossover between the opportunities and you can use them to think a little bit more clearer about who you're trying to talk to. You can always regenerate the result, and you may get a variation that gives you even more insights as to how you can proceed and grow your business by talking to the right target audience. Hopefully that shows you what is possible with this tool and how valuable it can be in literally shrinking down potentially days, weeks, months of back and forth, trying to get clear about who you're trying to serve, how you're going to try and serve them, and putting all this into your messaging. How cool is that? Now, apart from being very impressed on behalf of my own company, others have said the same. For example, I'm very impressed with the report because it helped me to reconfirm my niche and audience info and even went beyond that. The results are very detailed and I love the executive summary part. The audience analysis is totally on point. The market opportunities and the actionable recommendations give specific and detailed suggestions I hadn't even thought of offering. This has helped to confirm that I'm on the right path in spite of all of the doubt, fear, and anxiety that I have been dealing with as I wondered if there really is an audience for what I do. Or another, I was hoping that going through the exercise would help me refine the vague audience I had in mind, and it definitely did that. It also suggested other audiences I hadn't thought of, which was both interesting and a nice way to gut check whether I wanted to work with those new potential audiences. There you have it. If you've been stuck spinning your wheels trying to define your niche for your target audience, or if you're still relying on half-finished avatars and educated guesses, let this be your shortcut. Try the system. See what it gives you back. I think you'll be surprised how far a little clarity can go. Look for a button or link in or around this video to use the tool. Remember, this isn't about reinventing your business. It's about using smarter information to clarify your messaging so you can sell more products and services by sharing your expertise with the right audience.